Welcome back, everyone, to the T.R.O.N podcast. I have a very special guest today. Really a jack of all trades, to be quite honest with you. His biography kind of reads like a movie script. We have Mr. Mark Fox, inventor, author, entrepreneur, scientist. I don't want to talk too much because I'll run out of words to say. Thank you for joining me on the show today, sir.
Thank you so much for having me. This will be great.
It's awesome. So, let's first just briefly, I mean, you're an inventor, you do crop researcher. You're also a former space shuttle engineer, and you also invented a device that we're going to get into, and you have your own health company as well, too. So please, I'd love to hear about it.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I never wanted to get into rockets. But when I got out of college, I live in Cape Canaveral area, and my dad was in rockets. I didn't want anything to do with it, but I graduated with a chemical engineering degree, and my best friend was a nuclear physicist. And wow, we were hanging drywall for $3.50 an hour because nobody was hiring anybody in 1983. So anyway, a contract came available at the Cape for rockets, and somebody said, "Hey, did you put your resume in there?" I'm like, "Yeah, I don't want to do rockets, but okay." So they paid $12 an hour instead of $3. So I'm like, I guess I'll do that.
Right.
So that's how I got into rockets.
Simple economics, yeah.
Simple economics there, and so that's what I did. That I was a chief engineer in the space shuttle. It was my last job. I worked there about 17. I got out of it, and I went into the computer world with iOmega and zip drives, and then I've taught creative thinking. I've written a couple books on that, and I've done keynotes and lectures. And then I own part of a woman's clothing company, and I invented DNA and music and art from DNA and a bunch of things. What led me to this frequency energy therapy thing, which is what I've been studying for about 26 years and real serious about the last 5 or 6 maybe, is my dog had got arthritis in her spine, and a veterinarian, good friend of mine, it was awful, told me, "Hey, there's this magic frequency machine that can reverse arthritis." I'm like, well, that's BS. That can't be true. But I looked into it, and then I started to learn more and more about it. I was really skeptical, of course, being a rocket scientist. Like, I don't believe in frequency energy and crap. Doesn't make any sense. But it's like, but there's so much data out there, and I saw what it was really doing. And particularly around PTSD and trauma was the first thing I really dove into. But the jumping off point was I saw what it was doing, and it just literally made me angry that this is being held hostage by doctors in the clinical environment, and it's not affordable for the average person. So I'm like, there's got to be a way to make a portable, affordable device that can do the same thing. So that's what I jumped into to finally make the buy.
And I think you hit on a point too. When obviously I'm not an engineer or a doctor, but when you said the average person is not anywhere well versed in medicine and ability to diagnose, so they're only taking things at the surface level. I mean, I can't tell you how many times the doctor gives a prescription, you drive right to the pharmacy, don't even research the pill, and you just take it, and that's all she wrote. Right. So it's kind of, and that's not dissing the medical profession, but there's things that you know from your research and in your history that allowed you to look deeper than what was given to you. And when you heard those things, and your entrepreneurial background allowed you to invent the device that you did. Is that accurate?
That is accurate. But what I would say that's changing fast, the piece of it there is people are fed up with the medical system. They're fed up with being misdiagnosed. Chat GPT and all the AI systems and stuff are out there to get better every second. People are diving into their own stuff and going, "Hey, here's my symptoms. What could it be? Blah, blah." And they're challenging their doctors.
Absolutely.
Doctors hate me. My personal doctors hate me because I'm going to come in with my own chart, my own report, and I'm going to go, "Shut up. This is exactly how it goes." Doctors sit down. I go, "Here's what's going to happen. We don't know each other." This is what I tell them. I got another appointment coming up with a new doctor. It's like, here's what's going to happen. You're not going to say nothing until I give you a presentation that shows you, so you don't freak out about my blood pressure, because here's what the graphs and charts show.
Right.
You don't know anything about cholesterol unless you're up to date on it, and you're probably not. You don't know anything about blood pressure. You're probably not up to date on the real data, because they're not. The average doctor's 10 to 15 years behind current data.
Oh my goodness.
Seriously.
I did not know that. Yeah.
Yeah. The average one, I mean, a few of them are, more and more, fortunately, try to stay up to speed and look at stuff, but they don't know some of the energy stuff that's out there. They know some of these new developments. I mean, we just had this discussion the other day, you debate on the year or not, but by the time somebody comes up with a proven new technology to make it into the medical world where you can get it at a doctor's, 12 to 17 years.
That is true.
So let's go 15 years.
Right.
A lot of people don't have 15 years, or they don't want to live 15 years with that condition. Right. So
Right.
That's a rabbit hole we could go deep, but I'll shut up there.
No, it's fine because you made a very good point because I looked on your website, you did 17 years of research just on your device to get it, all of the things that you did. And so obviously I kind of want to break it down because, when it comes to your background, I'm like, man, this could be 3 hours because I got so many questions. So just to double back just for a half second, you went from drywall and you're like, yeah, we're going to do rockets. What was your educational background that allowed you to just go from here to, for lack of a better term, 0 to 100? Like, how did you?
Well, I had a chemical engineering degree. I graduated college. So
okay.
This is a funny story of malicious compliance. Okay. So this guy calls and he goes, hey, when can you come in for an interview? I'm like, when do you need me? He goes, like, now. I go, okay, well, let me shower and put on a suit. So I drive in there and the company was called Morton Thiokol. So I go to the Kennedy Space Center. I walk in and I'm ready for a bunch of questions I'm going to get, and he hands me a brochure, or a little 3-fold brochure. It says, we're Morton Thiokol. We build solid rocket motors, specialty chemicals, and salt. Pays $12.14 an hour.
Crazy.
Do you want the job? He opens this manila folder. It's got my resume on it. He runs his finger down. He goes, you're an engineer, aren't you? I go, yeah, I'm a chemical engineer. He goes, I go, what am I going to be doing? He goes, how do I know? Engineering shit. And I go, what? And he goes, do you want the job or not? And I go, yes. He goes, I go, when do I start? He goes, now. Go over there. Okay. So
wait for the round table, the back and forth, the stay. Oh,
you have to fight for this. It's like, so what I learned later on, it was a cost plus contract in the government, which means they had a slot for 80 engineers and they had none because they just got the contract. So the company was losing money.
Correct.
So
because you didn't fill that position.
Right. Yeah. The head HR was given the direction if they have a degree and a heartbeat, and the heartbeat's optional. Okay. Just stick them in a chair somewhere and we'll get rid of them later because we're losing money. Seriously. They're like, I'll do this for 6 months. And then we're like 16, 17 years later.
That's an awesome story. Oh my goodness. That reminds me like in the scene of Good Will Hunting when like Ben Affleck's character like sat in for Matt Damon's character and everything. Yeah.
Exactly.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, exactly. So I have a couple questions about this device because it seems like what was the research level that involved to be able to say, hey, this works for these specific ailments, for these specific people? Did you case study people? Did you bring people in? Like, how does that process work?
So you know what R&D stands for?
I'm guessing research and development, but it's probably something different in your world.
No, that's one right answer.
Okay.
The other right answer is rob and duplicate.
Okay.
So I just capitalized on 8,000 practitioners over 35 years playing with it in a clinical environment. So it's frequency pairs. It puts out some pulse magnetic field, pulse electromagnetic field. It puts out frequency pair. If you think of the pair like a chord on a guitar,
right?
The protocols are songs. So the chord's changing every 1 to 4 minutes, and it's all 95% trial and error.
Got it.
8,000 practitioners. So I just borrowed their experience. And I took a music synthesizer, and I'm not a musician. It makes me very angry. I can't play anything.
So there's something you don't do then. There is something you don't.
I don't play any music, but
okay.
I took a music synthesizer and took those protocols and built songs out of them. So what the device actually is, it's actually an MP3 player without a speaker.
Okay.
So this has a coil, but the actual protocols and the software is actually MP3 files, and it acts like a music player, and it's just pushing the music through a coil to make the magnetic field instead of music.
Got it. That makes a lot of sense. So how did you know that it would target these specific conditions that you spoke on? I also saw that it is available for animals as well too, because so how did you know, like, hey, this is these conditions that it actually
I went through a bunch of training with those 8,000 people that generate it, and they have workshops and stuff. So I went and got certified on all the frequencies, and it was like, okay, now that's most of it is I've borrowed on that. However, some newer stuff like vagus nerve, I knew nothing about, but there's so much activity around it and research. So I've done a bunch of research on that. And now we have vagus nerve protocols. Here's another example is like the majority of the protocols came from what I just described, history and experience from other people.
Got it.
Now I had probably 100 people call me and go, hey, what do you have for Lyme disease? Nothing. What do you have for Lyme disease? Nothing. Rashad, if you get on a Zoom call with a Lyme support group, you will never complain about your life again.
Oh, I can only imagine.
It's awful, right? So it's like, so I jumped in and said, okay. So I started doing my own research, reaching out to other doctors, doing ChatGPT, Google searches. Has anyone ever used PEMF for Lyme? And I found one doctor that has.
Oh, wow.
So I'm like, okay. So I interview that doctor. We just Yesterday, I sent 10 more units to 10 more Lyme
Oh,
doctors
nice.
to say, let's get back on Zoom calls, let's play with it and try and find the right formula. Now, we're close. We don't have it yet on Lyme, and I'll tell you why. Lyme is a little bacteria that's a clever little bastard that hides, and it hides in your body and it disguises itself as other bad things. So you get misdiagnosed all the time. When you kill it, Rashad, it spits poison.
Oh,
So it's
wow.
called Hexheimer reaction. I forget its named after probably some German doctor, right? So you got to be very careful with it. So what happened is the first round of studies that we did, it worked because everybody got sick. So it killed the bacteria.
Yeah.
So like, okay, well now I got to have a compliance issue for them to stick with it. So we dropped the power back. We worked our way into it a little bit slower. We ran the liver protocol after you kill it to clean the toxins out. Then you retone the vagus nerve. Then you go back and kill it more. That's what we're doing right now. And if we'll get the right sequence of punches. And when we do, that's a huge,
game
like
changer.
200,000 new cases.
Game changer.
Yeah, it's 200,000 cases in the U.S., I think, a year of Lyme disease.
They're from ticks, right?
So it comes
from ticks, right?
From ticks, yes. So, but there's a lot of things like that we're doing our own studies. We're doing vagus nerve, we're doing blood sugar, we're doing our own studies to verify, because I started with those basics, but the problem with those 8,000 people in 35 years is they're practitioners. They don't write papers. They treat people. Right. So but now, having said that, if you just go to Google or PubMed and type in PEMF, you're going to find about 6,000 published studies on it.
Okay. Yeah, that's fascinating because, I don't want to say that's not my alley, but, I've never had to. I'm not a scientist or inventor, but I do have, we all have ailments, right? So it would be nice to have something, like that be available to just see, hey, does this actually work, right? Because not everything involves ingesting a pill and hoping for the best. You know what I'm saying?
I do know what you're saying. Here's how most people will come across this technology. They're either long-term physically or mentally in pain, and it's usually both, and nothing else has worked for them. Either the drugs have too much side effect or the doctors don't know what to do. Let me give you a great example. Do you know how many people have fibromyalgia and their doctor just tells them it's BS, it's in your head?
No, I don't know that. I know that it's a complicated diagnosis. I don't know the percentage.
Yeah, it's a super complicated diagnosis, and a lot of doctors just tell you we can't do anything for you, and we don't know what it is. The same issue with stomach issues, but fibromyalgia, we have a neuropathy, fibromyalgia in general, anything related with the nerves, we have a huge success rate with that. But people will find it because of what I just said. It's a long term. Most people are going to do what their doctor tell them to do, just take that pill or whatever, take the blue pill or the red pill. But it's like a lot of people, more and more people every day don't want to do that. They understand energy therapy. There more and more people are starting to research it. So that part's exciting.
That sounds very exciting. I do have a quick question. Is that how large is your team? Like, how many people do you have working with this device, learning new diagnoses, entering new markets, and all the years that you put into this? How large is your team?
A year ago and 15 days, it was me and the fish. And today is May 1st, 2025. So I did the math wrong there. So on April 1st.
Yeah.
So I hired one person to help. I have 12 now, I think.
Jeez. That's nuts.
I'm very sexist because I won't hire any guys.
Oh, really?
I only want women in pajamas working at home.
Okay. I don't know the reason why, but
I'll tell you why.
Okay.
75-year-old men with prostate issues are mean people if you're talking to a guy.
I guess
they're talking to a women, they're going to be nicer.
Okay.
Because I have had to, I told you, it's only me the whole time till like a year plus a month or two ago. Every email I get, I want to go, you just want to write
X,
back. How dumb can you be? You press the button. The guy sends me this morning, new device. It's a Vega Vibe pendant. See that button? It has one button on it. Okay? One. Hold it for 2 seconds. No, I had 12 emails with this dude, and he sends me, he goes like this. Mine doesn't work, I told you. And he finally gets the video, and he goes like this. And he's pushing way up here. I'm like, dude, it's not that hard. In fact, I was embarrassed when I wrote instructions for that. Okay. So So I let all my team, all women, except one guy who does returns. I don't let him talk to any customers. But anyone that's talking to a customer, they're all women sitting at home in their pajamas, which is exactly what I want. And I'm going to grow the company exactly that way.
But hey, man, it's your business. Run it as you see. So real quick question is, what markets are you in? Is it just direct sale right now through your website? And so how can people find the device?
Yes. So we have a few websites, but the primary one is Risona, RESONA.health. There's no .com. So Risona Health. Depending on their sense of humor for your audience, they can go to the FDAsucks.com as well.
Okay. That's awesome. That's fantastic.
You can edit that out if you want to. But
I'm not tripping. Listen, this is, as long as somebody's not dropping explicit words all over here, we're cool, man. It's no big deal.
Yeah. The FDA doesn't like this technology to exist because they're in bed with the drug companies, and it'll never be this is you share it with friends, whatever, you don't consume it every month, right? So that's never going to be a model. But anyway, we won't go down that rabbit hole because that's negative energy.
No, it's like,
stick with the positive energy, and it's not 100%. Nothing in the world is.
Absolutely
not.
No, not at all.
But it's a super high success rate. Here's, from a scientific point of view, I'll just throw this in because it's new, because I've come up with it in the last 2 days of analysis. We have a very, 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 very low return rate. I don't want to publish what it is, but it's extremely small.
Yeah, that's probably
I've now done the correlation with the data. If you ask me about your return policy more than twice before you buy it, we have a 30-day money-back guarantee. If you ask me twice before you even buy it, that is probably 60 to 70% of the people that return it.
Because they've already made up their mind.
They already made up their mind. It's the nocebo effect, which has been, instead of a placebo for positive, it's called nocebo.
I did not know
and
that.
I just wrote an article on it 2 days ago because it tons of scientific data. I mean, here's the most extreme one of placebo, if you've never heard this. And they don't do this anymore for ethical reasons. But back in the day, decades ago, a doctor did knee surgery. Half the people he did the surgery on, the other ones he just cut them and didn't do anything.
Wow.
And the ones that he didn't do any surgery on them, he didn't fix them, they reported feeling a lot better. Yeah, there's actually thousands of placebo studies like that, and there's almost as many nocebos, right? Well, people will say, so if you've already made up your mind, it's not going to work. You're not old enough to know this, but back in the 70s, there was a comedian called Rich Hall, and he had a thing on TV that were called sniglets. They were words that don't exist the words are not in the dictionary, but they should be. One of them was this combination of bozo and ozone. It's an invisible gas that surrounds people and stops any new information or ideas getting in. So you can go read this article on my website I wrote, because I have so many Facebook haters. I'm not even measuring.
Man, this is hilarious.
I wrote an article called Liar, Liar, Pants on Fire. This is for all you Facebook haters that call me Hitler or death threats, want to kill me, scumbag. No, I'm serious. Death threats and all kinds of stuff. Like, here's a list of the top 100 scams of all time. You ready? Okay. X-rays, antibiotics, CRISPR, DNA sequencing, PCR, MRIs. I go list hundreds of things that are impossible, absolutely impossible until they were not. Right?
Right.
If I explained to you how an MRI worked, you would freak out. There's no way an MRI can actually work. It's impossible. There's 5 levels of magic going on. But you know how many we do a year? A million MRIs. You get a picture and go, yeah, it was in my heart, and the doctor explains to you. But it shouldn't work. Millions of times more magical than that.
Right.
An MRI.
Right.
It really is. If we had enough time, I'd give you a 1-minute version of how it works.
For sure. And listen, I'm just a patient. Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. So the protons in your body have a little north pole, south pole like the Earth, and they're tilted. Okay. And they're all random. So you have trillions and trillions and trillions in your body. Okay. They put you in an MRI machine, that tube that everyone hates because it's,
for sure,
claustrophobic. It puts 50,000 Gauss energy level into your body. This is 9. Okay. 50,000. 50,000 will make an oxygen tank fly across the room if it's not tied down. Literally, because that's how only one person ever got killed, was a tank hit him. So 50,000 Gauss, it makes all of the protons in your body line up. Instead of being tilted, they line up like a laser. Okay. Then you literally use AM and FM radio. I'm not making this up. Those are the frequencies, kilohertz and megahertz.
Yeah.
You dial in to 0.6 FM for the heart, or whatever the hell it is. Okay. And you hit the person with the radio waves.
Yes.
Still no magic yet. Then you turn everything off. Turn the radio off. You turn off the magnetic field. Your protons in your body snap back to randomness, and they release energy. And that energy is captured on a Fourier transform that makes a picture.
Wow. I did not know all that. I really didn't.
And if I want to see liver versus heart, I got to change the FM frequency. So the 5 magical things just happen there that nobody questions.
No.
They all sit there and look at the picture and go, hey, all right, doc, my heart's doing whatever. No, an MRI is way, way more fascinating than a rocket.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
But we have thousands and thousands of these technologies and stuff that are commonplace that were complete magic before they weren't.
Well,
That's my point.
I thought, it was interesting. I took a note on this, and you had actually, there's a Hertz frequency for happiness at 432. What is that all about? 32 Hertz for happiness?
It's the solfeggio frequencies, and they've been around for millennia. And just think of monks humming and chanting.
Okay.
That's what they're doing. They're humming and chanting at those certain frequencies. There's famous caves and stuff that you just go in there and go, it'll resonate back at certain frequencies. But yeah, anyone could Google solfeggio frequencies and then learn about that, or go to YouTube. You'll find millions of videos and stuff on. But that's where they're coming from, is just, and to not be super woo-woo magical about PEMF. I'm going to show you real fast. It's the Earth's heartbeat.
Okay.
So the Earth puts it out all the time. It puts out 7.83 hertz, 14.3, and 20.1, I think. But I'm going to show you something real fast. So you can download this little app. Come on, zoom in, buddy. Yeah, it's showing 0.4 Gauss. But that is an app you can.
That's for the Earth.
That's for the Earth. So the Earth's heartbeat is putting out about a half a Gauss at 7.83. It's called the Earth frequency. It's also a grounding frequency, that as people call it. And it actually comes from lightning bolts echoing off the ionosphere. And between the ionosphere and the actual Earth, it acts like a bell. So it's ringing at 7.83 hertz. So you, me, everything living and everything dead on the planet is engulfed in PEMF. So if it was harmful, this is my theory, we'd all be dead.
Right.
You can't do anything.
My goodness, absolutely.
It's 24/7 around you. But this new app is like, I got a new iPhone 16. It doesn't like that app, I guess.
It's all good. Listen, but here's the thing. It's like we have all this technology and things around us, but like sometimes we just exist and don't research exactly what's going on around us, right? And if you only accept the information that's in front of you, and you don't, even if for your own personal fascination and satisfaction, but particularly when it comes to your health, you owe it to yourself, the loved ones, the people around you, to say what are all the options available, and not just the one that's presented in front of you. That's one of the reasons I was so interested in the things that you were talking about and just your history of it. So if I could ask a couple questions, because I could, like I said, I could dive into your brain for about 3 hours, man. This is right up my alley.
Thank you.
What is the crop research like? How do you dive in that? I'm just pivoting a little bit.
So interesting connection. So the doctor, veterinarian, who told me, hey, there's this magic machine years ago. He always has, whenever he's reading a book, this thing called the Wizard Academy. It's a nonprofit school that I'm on board stuff. Just 1 second. You can hear that noise, right?
I'm not worried about that. You're working. You're 24/7. You got your business going on.
Trying to turn the Teams thing off. But
don't even sweat it.
So he had his book with like a little brown cover, and they're like, what are you reading now? Right. So it was called the Source Field Investigations by Wilcox, which book's about that fat. It's the strangest book with the weirdest things ever on the planet, forever. Okay. And then when you get to the appendix at the end, he says, I don't want to discredit all my whole book by talking about crop formations, but I'm going to at least mention it. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Everything else. So anyway, there's a picture in there of a crop formation that's representing pi, 3.1414. So it's not symmetrical. It's all asymmetrical. It's pretty complex. You can go Google it and look at it.
Yep.
So I kind of was sort of interested in crop formations just for the heck of it. I'm not obsessed with it. But the two main researchers I know in Wiltshire, I emailed them and said, hey, did you guys go into the field for this particular one? And is it authentic? Authentic means it's not man-made. And everyone goes, what does that mean? Well, I have a 17-point checklist that could tell you whether it's man-made or not. Right. It's pretty easy. And they both went, it's authentic. I go, okay, that is crazy that it made intelligence and made 3.14159. It made pi. So I said, I got to go research this. So I told my wife, this is what we're doing for the summer. We're going over to England and research it. She told her boss, and her boss goes, you must really love him.
Full disclosure, I remember pi from math in class, but it was also a really cool movie that came out.
It was. It's kind of black and white, wasn't it?
It was Darren Aronofsky's first film, who made the most depressing movie afterwards, Requiem for a Dream.
Yeah. So that's how I got interested in it. And the weird part is, what's as interesting as the science, as the phenomena, is that nobody cares, right? So I give a presentation. I've read it. I'm not obsessed, but I've read every book in English that I know of on crop formations. There's not that many. There's maybe 50.
Okay.
And I put together a checklist from everybody. I went over to conferences. I said, here's how I summarize what all you guys wrote. Is this the correct checklist? And they went, that's perfect. Nobody has done that before, so they use it now.
Oh,
so
wow.
you can go through that checklist and you can quickly find out, if it's man-made or not. The number one indicator is if it's not man-made, the knuckle's going to be bent on the wheat. If it's man-made, it's going to be broken. They stepped on it with a board. It's that simple.
Okay.
So, but there's a whole bunch of other things you can look at with science and measuring chemistry and doing all that stuff. So that's how I got interested. But again, the second part is that nobody cares. I mean, I have a lot of friends who are rocket scientists, and I'll give them my presentation, and they're like, I got a soccer game to go to. I got to, life isn't the way. I don't have time to process what you just told me, Fox. I don't care. Yeah. So it's amazing how many people don't care. You know how many people research crop formations in the United States?
I really don't. Who am I?
1.5, and I'm the half a person. One other lady in Kansas somewhere. Nobody's looking for them here. Nobody cares. Everyone goes, why are they in England and Wiltshire? A dozen people are looking for them there.
Right.
There's three or four people in the Netherlands looking for them. There's literally nobody in the United States flying around in the morning in a little plane looking for them.
Right.
So anyway, that's it. And I present it as part of my creative thinking class and workshops and stuff at the end, because I'm trying to tenderize their brain. Okay. I say, pretend this is real for a minute, because I'm going to show you some real data and science and stuff. And it's funny because I make everyone raise their hand. You need to promise that you will not interrupt me for at least 15 minutes. I never make it more than 90 seconds. Like, that can't be real. That picture's wrong. That's Photoshop. I go, Photoshop did not exist when this was made. Well, that was built by GPS, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, GPS didn't exist when that picture was taken. They're like, huh? What?
That's awesome.
GPS didn't happen. Yeah, until 1993. The picture is 1990. So you go through that kind of logic. Anyway, it's a fun escape to go ask why. And then people, they'll pound the hand on the table. Explain to me now. What's the answer? I don't have it.
Right.
That isn't the point. The point was to go think about the possible things it could be and how much you don't know.
Right.
I'll give you one last example.
For sure.
So I used to teach creative thinking at Los Alamos National Labs 4 times a year. The smartest nuclear physicists in the world, right? Yep. I'm a dumbass chemical engineer. Okay. So when I walk in, I do not make eye contact with them because I know they're just going to shred me. So, because I'm just so I walk in, I have this gigantic chart. I do not make eye contact for 8 minutes. I go, here's the history of physics and how wrong you guys have always been. Okay.
No.
You thought this happened. 15 years later, that was proven to be completely wrong. Then there's this, then there's this, then there's this, then there's this. I do that. Then I turn around. They're all slumped halfway in their chair. And I go, so based on all the data I just showed you, and everyone in this room knows what I just told you is true, there's a 98% probability that whatever you did your PhD thesis on is BS. Okay. And it's completely wrong.
That's a lot of egos in that room too.
Yeah. A lot of egos. That's why I do it. That's how I have to start the class. Because if I just went there and started trying to teach them something, they'd go, get out of here. We know 100 times more than you, you idiot.
100%.
So I have to slap them in the face and tenderize their brain. I do it on purpose. They keep inviting me back. I don't get it.
So you know what? I didn't ever ask this question. And so what is Risona? Like, how did you think the name Risona Health?
Resonance.
Okay.
What it's doing is this is the main theory, is it's resonating. So a magnetic field itself isn't going to travel that far, but you're still getting full body coverage. And here's the misnomer. People think in the PEMF world, you have to lay on a full body mat. You don't. Here's why. It's resonating with the water in your body. Picture a pebble in a pond. I throw a pebble in a pond. It's got local energy, but that wave moves. And we're mostly water solution, right?
Right.
It's an alternating magnetic current. If you remember from high school, it's going to create an alternating electrical current, even though it's very low. And your skin is conductive. So it's going to travel through your body and your organs through electrical conductivity. And the last thing is your cells have magnetite in them. It's a thing that birds and turtles have for migration, we believe. Okay. And it was only recently, a couple decades ago, that humans have magnetite in their cells too. It's just not as concentrated.
Got it.
So I think it travels that way, but it's resonating. Not everyone. Most people know this. They get resonance when they see Ella Fitzgerald 60 years ago break a wine glass with her voice, right?
Yeah.
You can shatter stuff, right? Or Tacoma Crossing Bridge, where the wind hit it just right and made that bridge collapse, right?
Got it.
Give you some modern day examples. Why when you press the key fob on your car, does it unlock your car, not the one next to it?
You know, I would really like to know the answer to that question, because I've seen like YouTube videos, but I never really asked. Because
the sending unit and the receiving unit are resonating with each other. Why, when you turn a radio station to 100.4 FM, do you not hear 106 FM? Because the antennas shoot 104 and you turned your radio to 104, so they're resonating with each other.
Okay.
So everything is a frequency, everything is resonance, key fobs, your garage door openers. It's all, your entire life is surrounded by resonance. So that's what the name. That's a long answer to what you asked me.
I'll be honest.
Short for resonance.
I'm sure I was taught that very well in school, and that's probably the one that I failed. So I'm just going to keep that totally brutal. I'll just keep it totally honest. I think that this is honestly one of the best episodes that I've had a chance to, because
Cool.
I watch documentaries about the things that you're talking about. I really do. And even if I'm not a scientist or an engineer, I get fascinated by the things that are around me. So just briefly, where can people find your product, Vibe, and just more information about it, and more importantly, where people can find you?
Yep, just resona.health, just Risona.health. We talked about the team. I'm lucky this is pure luck, because I went to like hiremymom.com. I'm not making that up. That's how I hired Kelly, who answers phones and stuff. And I just gave everyone on the team a raise yesterday.
Nice.
Like, they're all killing it. They're doing awesome, and they're nice. They're not mean like me. They answer things nicely.
Yeah.
And it's like, so they can contact them, go to the website, send an email if you got any questions, and a lot of people do, right?
Yeah.
And I get it. It's voodoo that they're not heard of, and they don't. I want to ask some questions, but we have tons of information on the website.
For sure.
Actually, we have enough traffic. You can just Google Risona Health and ask your question.
Yeah.
And Google probably has an index somewhere.
Just briefly, quick question before, obviously I know your time is very valuable. How long is the battery life? Can people wear it, sleep, and awake?
The battery life is going to be about 5 hours. The protocols are going to run. Each protocol is different, and the average is about 40 minutes. The shortest is going to be 30. The longest is going to be PTSD. That's 2.5 hours. So the battery's going to last 5 hours. You recharge it. Takes 2 hours, hour and a half to recharge it. I don't recommend you sleep with it.
Okay.
Because you're going to knock it on the floor. If you don't have carpet, you're going to break it. What's more effective, because the sleep protocol is 46 minutes long, run it an hour before bed. So whatever you're doing an hour before bed, reading, watch TV, just start it, put it in your pocket, wear it the lanyard around your neck. It has like a little lanyard like that. You just put it around your neck.
Yeah.
And that's what I do. That's the protocol actually I use the most.
Okay. Is
the sleep protocol, because I have demons and army people and weapons chasing me sometimes in bad dreams. And it's like this, hopefully you'll laugh at this. When I run that, and I haven't got anyone mad at me yet when I say this, when I run that, I end up getting Halle Berry instead of weapons. So you get better heart rate variability. I get longer REM sleep, and I get Halle Berry. So it's worth every penny for me that I built it.
Oh my goodness, dude, you are awesome, man.
I'm not making that up. It's true.
I'm just keeping it real. Like, man, this has been like,
I get the Jinx version from James Bond.
I will tell you that the reason why the randomness of nothing was, that the one thing that I could actually create was because my own curiosity, and for lack of a better term, I like the world around me. I like to talk to people like you and things that you create and make. And I found this one of the most fascinating moments that I've had a chance, and honored that you carved out some time to be able to talk with me. I'd love to have a follow-up with you as well, too. So let's keep
absolutely.
Let's keep the conversation
Absolutely,
going.
yeah. Thanks so much for having me. This was fun. I appreciate it.
This was awesome. You take care, and thank you so much for being on the show.
See you, man.
Yep. Bye.